Hey everybody, so it's the end of 2018, and you know what that means. It's time for me to tell you all of my favorite things of this year. Specifically, I'm not just going to sit here and tell you how much I love My Hero Academia, how this show is by far one of the greatest things I've seen in my entire life, and now that I'm an actual adult, bringing back my love for anime as much as it can, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about how it had an amazing movie, or how my good friends like Steven came and joined me and we talked about it some more because it was great. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about 2018 and just how great of an actual year it's been for all kinds of different types of media. So please take a step back, enjoy, and if you haven't seen My Hero Academia, please make sure you do because it's actually really cool. But enough about that, it's just another thing. Overall, just remember that it's that time of the year to talk about my end of the year review. So, get some lemonade, sit back, let's talk. "2018 was a fun year for cinema, and these are some of the movies I had a good time watching in theaters. I did not expect Predator to be good, and it was great. Steven really wanted to go see Upgrade, and this movie was much more darker than I anticipated. Overlord was gory fun, and it was Wolfenstein meets zombies, so that was pretty sweet. And Aquaman was a comic-accurate origin movie. Go check out my video on this. Watching Two Heroes in theaters was an experience because I got to see just how many people love this fucking anime. It felt like I was watching an hour-long version of an episode, but that's fine, because it was a really good episode. I love this movie. And Young Might was really fucking cool. There aren't enough good things I can say about Infinity War. This was a phenomenon. This was 10 years in the making, and it delivered on so many different reasons. I love this film, but I think there were some better movies. Overall, though, this is one that you could watch again and again and again. And then John Krasinski and Emily Blunt really killed it in A Quiet Place. Again, another movie you have to experience in theaters. I loved it. There were also some great movies that I streamed online. Bird Box was intense and reminded me a lot of A Quiet Place. The Night Eats the World was an unconventional zombie movie I really enjoyed. Alicia Vikander killed it as the new Lara Croft. Leave No Trace is heartwarming and heartbreaking with some of the best performances of 2018. And then Netflix changed the game with Black Mirror Bandersnatch. It's highly inventive and highly engrossing. There were also some movies I watched this year that didn't come out this year. I just got introduced to them. And these are just honorable mentions because these movies rocked my world. Like Veronica, which reminded me not to fuck around with brujeria. Evan Rachel Wood and Ellen Page were just phenomenal and Into the Forest. The Invitation perfectly crafted suspense, and by the end of it I had an anxiety attack. Coherence reminded me a lot of Primer, with its weirdness and wackiness, and it has Xander from Buffy. The Endless took me for a fucking ride with its Lovecraftian themes, which then had me go watch Resolution, which was surprisingly funny and just as interesting. Which then reminded me a lot of The Ritual, which was a horrifyingly terrifying movie. And while I loved all of these movies, there were 5 films specifically that just took me to another place entirely. I did go over these in greater detail on the Mitch and Rich show that you can find on Geek Elite Radio, so if you're interested, please go check that bad boy out. But here are my top 5. You Were Never Really Here is a movie about trauma and its long-term effects. It's violent, it's unflinching, and it's uncompromising. This movie has so much going on, especially in the weary and tired eyes of Joaquin Phoenix, who did such a phenomenal job in this movie. What a powerful performance. Definitely not for the weak of heart. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a world of colorful and stylized animation, endearing characters, and a dope soundtrack. If you're weary of superhero flicks, I understand, but this one won't burn you out. It's hard to not have a smile on your face when watching Miles' story unfold. The best Spider-Man movie we've ever had. What can I say about Mandy besides that it's fucking nuts? There's a lot happening in Panos Cosmatos' surrealistic art house horror revenge story, and it's very self-indulgent at times, possibly pretentious, but make no mistake, this movie is an acid trip that's brutal, nasty, and all-consuming. Nicolas Cage is the hero we did not know we deserved. Fuck yeah. And then there's Hereditary. And I made a mistake because I watched it right before bed. No jump scares needed. It's methodical and patient, and it builds on sheer discomfort, and then it descends into absolute pandemonium. This movie is a work of art, and it absolutely scares the shit out of me. But my number one movie of 2018 has to be Isle of Dogs. And make no mistake, Wes Anderson can be one of those directors that is kind of like an acquired taste, but Isle of Dogs is delightful. This is a treasure of a film that has all the Wes Anderson quirkiness, with beautiful set pieces, brilliant stop motion visuals, and the melancholy charm that's so much fun. It's an acquired taste for sure, but it's simply beautiful. I love this movie. You know, they say there's nothing quite like the relationship between a boy and his dog, and this movie showcases that. I love dogs. It was a great year for programming, especially on Netflix. I had no idea that American Vandal Season 2 was dropping in 2018, so I was pleasantly surprised in seeing the smart, outrageous mockumentary once again. Season 2 was so good that it gave me a cathartic and rewarding experience, and it's surprisingly inspirational. And the character of DeMarcus Tillman is a godsend to all of fiction. I wish he was a real person. Netflix also gave me a heaping dose of Richard Madden in the suspenseful thriller Bodyguard. Robb Stark was my favorite in Game of Thrones, so to see him in action with that full Scottish accent and powerful acting chops, I was completely blown away. This man deserves an award. Great show. It's a viewing experience that's very intense. By far, that opening train sequence is some of the most tense I've ever felt watching a TV show. So Richard Madden does a great job in his acting and his portrayal, and it really is quite beautiful. And then there is the sci-fi roller coaster cyberpunk extravaganza that is Altered Carbon. Not the best name, but Steven recommended it, and my god, what a visual feast. Big ideas, excellent execution. This show was that sci-fi epic that I craved this year, and I loved it. What a ridiculous, over-the-top television experience. And then toward the end of the year, we got the fantastic Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Maybe this is the year where witchcraft and Satanism is in, but regardless, this show was funny, it was creepy, and it was lots of fun. Kiernan Shipka is witty and charming. Her character is empowering, especially in a world of a patriotic, traditionalist, satanic, orthodox upbringing. So Sabrina is wickedly progressive as she just kind of tries to live her own life. And it has a great cast with a chilling atmosphere. I had a lot of fun watching this show. Witty banter with occult symbolism, and then everything you could possibly need from an endearing cast. What could be better? Besides Netflix, there was also a lot of good anime that I watched. This was the year where I finally sat down and watched all of Dragon Ball Super, actually getting to the point where the season finale occurred, and that was something special. Dragon Ball has always been something really important to me growing up as a child, so now being able to see it unleashed once more, it just felt so good. There really was magic in watching these fight sequences and seeing my favorite characters come to fruition once again. I literally also just finished Goblin Slayer, which I heard a lot of hype about, specifically being compared to Doom Guy from the Doom franchise, an unrelenting force that is only focused on one thing, and that is the gruesome deaths of the goblins that exist in this plane. The fight sequences are gruesome and bloody. There's some really intense scenes, so this is not for kids. And it's just something that, though it's violent and brutal, it has moments where it's really uplifting. The final episode was also very satisfying. I loved it. Ooh, then we got Devilman Crybaby, which became my obsession during the first part of the year. Filled with bizarre imagery, sketchy animation, and groovy tunes, this was so much going on, from apocalyptic horror to gratuitous violence and nudity, but it also encompassed a deeper story of metamorphosis, acceptance, and heroism. Plus, there were some sick raps in this show. With an ending on par with the end of Evangelion, this show stayed with me for many weeks after I had finished it. I'm still mad about it. This show fucked me up. And then we had the perfect season of My Hero Academia. I've talked about this anime ad nauseum for many times now, so please go to some of my other videos about this, but just very clearly I want to state, My Hero Academia Season 3 was the best anime of 2018. Everything that I wanted to happen happened. There were some great fight sequences. There were some great laugh out loud, cry out loud moments. This was just beautiful storytelling. We got Mirio, we got All for One, we got Bakugo versus Midoriya Part 2. There were just so many outstanding moments, and the music was gorgeous. So do yourselves a favor and watch this show. And finally, The Haunting of Hill House. Have you ever had an experience where you watched something that profoundly scared you to your very core, but at the same time made you feel so sad? This is one of those perfect shows that comes every now and then. And I'm not just talking about some of the fantastic camera work or some of the cool creepy factors, but I'm talking about the story enveloped in this horror that is actually some of the most uplifting and bittersweet moments on television I have ever seen. The show is emotionally frustrating because you become so immersed in the Crane family's struggles and hardships, which makes the tragedy and the trauma that they go through hit you so much harder. It's so fucked up and heartbreaking. This is a story about family, and it made me want to hug my sisters right after I watched it. It's so much more than a silly horror story. It's cathartic. It's a story about forgiveness and love, and it teaches that forgiveness is warm. To love completely, that's all that matters. All the rest is confetti. It teaches that the only thing in life that matters is family, and it made me want to spend more time with my family. And that's the power of storytelling. Consuming music in 2018 is very different. Now, with the power of streaming, we are able to have whatever music we want at our fingertips at any moment. So having Apple Music is one of the best things I've ever signed up for. And I listened to a lot of music this year, so there's a lot of music that really caught my ear. Max Richter's The Leftovers OST is just something I've had on repeat. It's basically a recreation of the song Departure over and over again, but it's such a haunting sound. I love it. Another soundtrack I really liked was The Haunting of Hill House. The Newton brothers compose really heartbreaking and chilling music. Also, all the Far Cry I've been playing has really gotten me into some of that good old country, soul, gospel type music. The soundtracks made for this specifically are really chilling and haunting and beautiful, and I just have them on repeat over and over again. As I work on my Power Ranger series, Always in Undertow has been on heavy rotation. The song is like a soft kiss. Khaled's Better has been a soft jam that I've enjoyed listening to over and over again. Bad Bunny and Drake joined forces to create one of my favorite dancing songs of this year that I have on heavy rotation at work. And then Donald Glover surprised us with a very intimate, intense, and awesome, just beautiful song in This Is America. One of those videos that just kicks your ass every time you watch it with so much going on. And at the end of the day, it's just a really, really good song that I really like listening to no matter what time it is. And then a lot of the anime I watched this year had some really good songs, from Man Human all the way to the dope-ass My Hero Academia intro songs. But as far as albums go, 21 Pilots' Trench has to be one of my favorites, just because the concept album is just really good, and the tracks hit hard, they hit soft, and they're stuck in your head. Everything about this album is really good, check it out. With that, I figured out the amazing existence of Polyphia. The gods themselves have descended to give us some of the greatest guitar shreds I have ever listened to. This CD sounds evil, it sounds good, and I love everything about it. Reminds me why a string instrument paired with percussion can be so good. But the album that packs the most punch this year has to be Spider-Man's Into the Spider-Verse compilation CD. Because, again, you have a big smile while listening to it, lots of great jams on it. There were many great comic book pickups this year, and a lot of personal favorites that I got to read. First off, DC Metal concluded this year, and it was one hell of a ride. Like, legitimately no joke, if you want something that's balls to the walls insane and just keeps getting weirder and weirder and more intense, this was the book for you. And the fact that you have a bunch of evil Batman and just kind of what it leads up to is really cool with no justice. Because then with this comic series, we have a whole new bunch of groupings and pair-ups and something on a much more cosmic scale. So I like what Snyder was doing there. And now leading up to the new Justice League series, which is kind of an homage to the original animated series, but more than that, it's just good writing, the art is perfect, and it's refreshing Justice League. So I'm looking forward to the future. This year we also got a bunch of great X-Men stories, not just the resurrection of Jean Grey or even the resurrection of Wolverine. They love bringing these characters back, but through Extermination, through the Exterminated, through the New Uncanny, it's really leading up to something, and finally, my boy Cyclops is coming back. So it looks like next year, Scott Summers is going to be heavily involved in the Marvel Universe, and I could not be more excited. You know, this was a good year of Marvel for me personally, because I went back and read a bunch of old Spider-Man stories. From the introduction of Morlun to the Book of Ezekiel to The Interesting Other, I read some Scarlet Spider, specifically Kane's story, which I loved. I read all of Superior Spider-Man. Otto did a great job as Spider-Man. I read Miles, all of his stories, specifically in Ultimate Comics, which started with the death of Spider-Man. Just so many great stories because I wanted to get into Spider-Verse and also to get into Spider-Geddon, which was this year, and Spider-Geddon was great. All the background that I read to get into Spider-Verse really paid off because it was funny, it was exciting, there were so many different types of Spider-Man that it was just refreshing, and this is by far one of my favorite stories. It was fun and it was wacky and it didn't have to be anything too crazy, and that's what it was. It was crazy, but it was also fun. And the fact that it went into Spider-Geddon, also a really good comic this year, which all ties together very nicely because of the Into the Spider-Verse movie, which you need to watch because it's really good. This then led me to pick up Jonathan Hickman's amazing run at Avengers and New Avengers, respectfully. This was the Avengers on a cosmic scale, and the Illuminati was so cool, and then this led into Infinity, which had so many amazing moments. It just felt big and grand and convoluted and amazing. And Hickman also made me care about Hyperion, which was cool, and his bromance with Thor was some of the best writing in comics I've ever seen. In this series, everything got bigger, the stakes went up, and this ultimately led into Secret War, which I wanted to read in 2015, but I never got a chance to actually sit down and do it, so all this background really helped me delve into God Doom, and fuck, it was pretty sick. The art was great, the action was good, the ending kind of fell a little bit short, but I mean, what do you expect when you already have this amazing build-up? This year wasn't just a great year for games, but it was just a year where I also played many more video games than ever before. Basically, I was an active participant. All thanks to Steven, who consequently is the reason I played Doom and Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, which also happened to be my favorite games of 2016 and 17 respectively. Go check them out. But it's a big thank you to Steven once again, because he introduced me to my favorite game of 2018, and that is the beautiful God of War. Honestly, words don't do this game any justice, and I highly recommend that you check it out. There's a reason that this game has gotten such positive critical acclaim, and considered to be the best game of the year. I can only speak to my own experience with this game, and it's just that, an experience. It's a well-rounded, amazing story with fun, exciting combat and gameplay. It manages to take a character of Kratos, who I fucking hated in the original God of War, to something that is so much greater, a shift from a dwindling, violent franchise to one of an epic journeyman in an arc to redemption. And also, the photo mode is glorious. Wholeheartedly, the narrative is on par with an Oscar-worthy cinematic movie experience, but so much better because you control the action. You're empowered with the Leviathan axe, and you feel like the God of War. It's a very tight video gaming experience that delivers an uplifting, epic, and humanizing look into the relationship between father and son. So thank you Cory Barlog and Santa Monica Studios for showing me the magic still exists. Also, Insomniac Spider-Man was a masterpiece this year. It's really unfortunate it came out during a year of Red Dead 2 and God of War, but nonetheless, Insomniac gave us a beautifully crafted love letter to the web-slinger. This game has infinite replay value with a deep story, amazing visuals, and fun controls. Don't feel like beating up bad guys? Why not go look for collectibles throughout the big map in New York? Don't want to focus on the story right now? Why not web-sling throughout the city as the music crescendos as you swing high and low? It's really a fun game akin to the Arkham games, but better. And regardless of controversy or asshole fans, Insomniac still gave us a rewarding gaming experience with fun extra content and plenty of dope suits, including the Raimi suit to create works of art in the photo mode. So thank you, Insomniac. Thank you so much for this beautiful, replayable game. And then there's a surprising gem, which is Far Cry 5, which I bought randomly on sale, and it's been so much fun these past couple of weeks. Good old country folk having to take on evil cult leaders in Joseph's Seed and Eden's Gate. Ah, so charismatic, so intense. The game has awesome support characters that make the game feel human. You feel more connected to this world, with hilarious side conversations that they have, and good old country America stereotypes that are more endearing than offensive. And you can pet dogs. Overall, there's a certain charm to this open world game where you unleash the narrative, where there's always something to do. From going on missions, to collecting different things, to blowing shit up, to having fun with the photo mode. The customization and weapon system is also very mesmerizing. And there's little nuggets that make this a special experience, such as campers dancing as someone plays Where Did You Sleep Last Night? The music is something else entirely. From gospel to indie country jams, this is something that just feels right and really captures the enigmatic sense of this doomsday cult. This game was so much more fun than I could have anticipated, and I highly recommend you check it out because it was a blast. I got so many amazing toys this year. I have my favorite toys of 2016 as well as 2017, so in the same vein, these are some of my favorites that I got this year. Not necessarily made this year, but toys that I got my hands on. And boy oh boy was it hard picking just 10. Bandai of America and Saban brands really gave me the perfect version of Psycho Ranger Red, and I'm still disappointed that Pink and Yellow aren't coming out, but Red being my favorite Psycho Ranger, it's just good to finally have him. Though some Revoltech toys aren't perfect in articulation, this classic-looking Asuka Soryu from Neon Genesis Evangelion really is one of those perfect toys because it is comic accurate, so having her is a great addition to the collection. SH Figuarts doesn't fuck around when they make their toys, and not only is Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta one of my favorite toys, but it's also one of the most fun to play with. The fact that I can change his face and it has great movement in the shoulders really means a lot to me. Wonderful. I've been eyeing a good Naruto toy for a while now, and this Senin mode made by SH Figuarts is just perfect. Not just from the fact that you can take off his robe and make him look classic Naruto style, it's just fun and a great toy to have. I spent such a long time looking for this Walmart exclusive Thanos that this Marvel Legends is everything I want in a toy. It's heavy, it's sturdy, good comic representation, and the metallic paint and comic villain grin makes it perfect. Ultimate Gohan cost a pretty penny, but it was definitely worth it. He came with many different faces, and I love this grin, as well as a power ki blast that just looks really, really awesome. Having him as part of my Dragon Ball Super collection it just feels right. The white spider suit in the new video game looks so good that the fact that Marvel Legends made it into an actual action figure speaks volumes for what it can be. I love it because it looks clean and he looks great, and the articulation is solid. This specific Goku toy came out this year, and I waited to get this one because this is the likeness of Goku that I want. Standard hair, shit-eating grin, this is the character that I love and all of his form. And SH Figuarts outdid themselves. Lord Draken is special because not only is he a rare toy that was an exclusive, not only is the paint good and it looks great, and it's a cool-ass character, but the joints move perfectly and he's fun to play with. I mean, I could have kept him in the box though. And then the toy that I've had the most fun with this year, spent the most money on, and means the most to me, has to be my Figma Deku toy that cost me a pretty penny. But not only that, it's just a good toy, one of my favorite characters, and having him feels so good. Overall, this year had a lot of fun, fantastic toys that I did the most with. I wish I could incorporate more, but then this video would be like 4 hours long. Overall, enjoy the things that you like, keep purchasing the things that you like, and I hope that 2019 has some even greater toys.